All right, I have here for you a diagram, a drawing, an illustration, but with it goes a story. And here's the beginning of the story, but I might have to continue it in other videos or video. But here's the beginning. You can see it now. A wide, soulless plain of empty land, occupied only by vague hints of what used to be here. The mountains have been worn down to smooth little pebbles sitting in a layer of dust, and the ground groans silently in the aching heat, splitting open and writhing helplessly through the eons. Maybe there were rivers and valleys here once. Maybe there were little living things like little lizards or birds with pretty feathers, or trees with leaves for the sunlight to filter gently through in the late afternoon. Maybe there was anything. There is one lone dot. We track it across the nothingness, like one tiny mite on the back of a cosmic rhino carcass, a mote in the breeze, seemingly coming from nowhere and with some infinite, impossible destination. Looking closer, we see something uneven and mechanical cruising along just over the surface of the ground, a hulking, smoking, pulsing contraption roaring by, with what looks like a man caught up and clutched tightly in the center of it, his legs dangling. A cloud of dust balloons out in a long streak behind, hanging in the air probably forever, all the way out to the horizon. His hands are on the controls, though, and he does have a goal, if not a destination. This is a Tinkerman, one of the only things you'll find moving out here. A modern-day detectorist, sustaining himself and the atrocity on his back only by the things he unearths below the surface here. The hot, dry ground is very good at preserving the leftovers from previous civilizations, and there are many gadgets on his back that help him find them. A loner and a nomad, he's been covering this quadrant for some years now, flying back and forth methodically and dutifully, scanning deep and wide. Flying endlessly back and forth, sometimes for weeks or months without the slightest beep or blip, until you'll see him pull back and alight gently on his feet, looking around at the sweltering earth intensely, like someone examining a plate of their favorite food, trying to decide where to start and what order to eat everything. He consults a few handheld sensors, waving one of them around like a divining rod, and places out a few items on the ground that look like traffic cones. All these things are pulled from hidden places in his huge, hulking backpack, which he is still wearing as he walks around setting up the dig site. The pack apparently is of no significant weight or strain on him, and always has constantly moving parts, little external rods pumping away at some internal pistons, whirly bits spinning or churning or milling something maybe, slower ticking wheels moving like exposed clockwork, some cloth flapping in the wind, some of it utilitarian, some of it maybe not. The whole thing seems to be writhing, and it's easy to think that if he reached his arm out carelessly or put the pack on the wrong way, if he ever takes it off, that he could easily be chewed up and spit out the other side of it like some over-engineered wood chipper. Anyways, the dig site is ready. 4 of the cones, making a 2-meter square, all connected around the outside by a couple of cables on the ground and some little auxiliary devices plugged in and lying there too. Everything's calibrated, and he steps on one of them like a guitar pedal, and then backing up a little, he boosts back up into the air to hang there briefly, before flying off again in his original direction. He'll swing back by in about a month or so when his grid sweep of this sector brings him back around. If everything goes like it should, there will be a nice clean hole here, almost half a mile deep, ending right where the sensors say is buried a long-forgotten spaceship, or maybe more, or maybe less. As he disappears off into the distance, there is a light forming between the cones almost too bright to look at. There is a dull whir from one of the items at the side, but that's it. No cloud of dust forms, and the ground seems to sink away between the cones as the sun rages away above. In a moment of shifting fate, however, one of the cones finds itself sitting on the edge of a tiny pebble, and unlike the nature of this wasteland, it moves by itself, or maybe with gravity's help, nudging the pebble out and finding a firmer foothold on the ground. The bright light there flickers for a second. The whir turns to a whine, but the dig site recalibrates itself and settles, but with a half-degree difference in dig angle. All right, thanks for listening and watching, everybody. I'll do a sequel to this, probably, where we continue the story. All right, have a good one, everyone. Goodbye.